Welcome to a class where a guy knows he's going to say things that most people don't want to hear.
I want to hear them.
That there's a part of the mind that doesn't want to hear. The Course says there's a part of our mind that doesn't want to hear the thing that's going to make us happy. Because there's a part of our mind that doesn't think we deserve to be happy. And
Earl, it's still standing.
okay, thank you. So whatever mood you're in today, just be in it. I'm in the mood myself. I'm in the mood to hear. I'm in the mood to hear this, so that I can change everything about my life and keep it moving in the direction of joy. Is there anybody else in here that wants to do the same thing?
Yeah.
All right. Okay. So this is a class that you can just be any kind of way you want to be. Last week, the Course in Miracles says that one of the most important steps for being able to believe something different and use some different information is to let go of the idea that you have to believe the new idea as soon as you hear it. If you want to change your mind and you want to think differently, and then when you think differently, you're going to have a different experience. In order to get the new idea that will allow you to think differently so that you can have a new experience, you have to be willing to hear ideas that are different from the ideas you may think you believe. So if we sit up, and if I'm trying to defend my point of view, then I'm not going to hear any new ideas. But the temptation is to do that because we identify with our beliefs. So since we identify with our beliefs, when someone says something that's different from what we believe, there's a tendency to feel attacked or to feel defensive. I'm telling you that so that when it happens, you'll still let yourself hear something different. And since the Course teaches us that we don't have to believe it and we don't have to accept it and we don't have to welcome it, but if we use it, we'll see that it works, then it also means it doesn't matter how you react to what you hear either. You don't have to believe it immediately, but it really doesn't matter how you feel about what you're hearing. Your reaction to what you hear doesn't have anything to do with the truth of it. Your reaction to what you hear doesn't have anything to do with the truth of it. Somebody might walk up to you and say, you know what, I thought I was in love with you. I'm not really in love with you, and I don't want to be in this relationship with you. Your reaction may be pain, but it doesn't make them any less want to not be in a relationship. So your reactions have nothing to do with the truth necessarily of what you're hearing. So let's say I didn't want to drive a 1964 car home, but I needed to get home. I might not like driving it, but that's the car I may have to drive if that's the one that's available. So again, no matter how I felt about it, it still was what I needed. So we left off on chapter 31, and we were on paragraph 7, and it starts off by saying concepts of learning. Yeah. Do you know that from the time you were born, something or someone's been describing what you are to you, and also telling you what you should believe, and also telling you what's true, ever since you were born? That created a concept of yourself. That concept of yourself is not you. There are two parts to that concept of yourself. You make up a concept of yourself. Let's say you, I'm talking generic you. You make up a concept of yourself that's nice, that's innocent, that would never hurt anybody except if they had to. It's the one that always feels like, you know, I got tears because people aren't treating me right. People aren't, you know, doing me the way I should be taught. Some of you may be wearing that face today. You know, you're the nice person who seems like you're not really happy. Then he says, underneath that we make up another concept of ourselves. And that concept of ourselves is that it's somebody else's fault for the reason we're having the life we're having today.
Did you say chapter 31?
Chapter 31.
Paragraph 7?
In the section 5 called self-concept versus self. It'd be better to go to the table of contents if you don't have the book I got, because it's on page 657 in the book I got. Because if you just flip through, it's going to take you a long time. Everybody's attention is going to be on the flipping of the page.
Yeah.
So we don't let you find it.
Okay, got it.
Okay, good. People used to say to me, "Why don't you do the Course in Miracles class outside?" Yeah, right. On a pretty summer day, it's like we would be looking at everything like we've never seen a butterfly in our whole life. Because the ego is going to try to distract you from everything you hear, and you'll fall in love with the fly. All of a sudden, it'll be the prettiest fly you've ever seen. Because there's a part of us that does everything it possibly can to distract us from hearing the truth. It does. And when I talk about certain things in the class, I know that it's a good chance that the class is going to drop off in attendance, because I've been doing this for so many years. And the last few weeks I've been talking about the fact that it's nobody else's fault. That we're responsible. For a minute, I didn't think nobody's going to be here today. There's certain things that I can teach out of this book that I guarantee usually to create less people coming to the class. And it's always around my life is the way it is because of me. That is one statement that people only like when they're feeling pretty good about what they're experiencing. When they're feeling really happy, they're glad to hear you created it. But if it's an area you're not happy in, it's not the most popular idea, is that we created it. So the Course then goes on to tell us that these concepts are learned. I'm going to go through this paragraph. It says concepts are not natural. Making up a concept of yourself, he says, isn't natural. Apart from learning, concepts don't even exist unless you learn them. See, this is really deep. I'm a man. That's a concept. I'm a black man. That's a concept. You see what I'm saying? I learned to look at myself that way. If I had a group in society that said this was a chair, I would say I'm a chair. And maybe a black chair. You see what I'm saying? And we would all be sitting there going, oh, that's a really hot chair. So you have to understand everything you're seeing, and this is deep, everything you're seeing is a name. That's what you're seeing. You're just seeing names. But you assign certain meanings to those names. So this is named microphone, this is named shirt, this is named stand, that's named carpet. So when we walk in, we don't realize that all we do is start to interpret everything based on the names that we've learned to give them. Be with that just for a second. So since all you're seeing are the concepts and names and words that you've been taught, then what's really here is beyond those concepts. So you don't see me until you start seeing me beyond your concept of me. And everybody in here has a concept. I always use the joke that I wish I had the things, the concept that people have of me has me doing. I'd be partying all the time. I'd be in 9 or 10 orgies every night. I'd be traveling the world. I'd be wild, buck wild. It's funny to hear that the concepts that people make up of you, and then they deal with you as if their concept of you is you. Yes. And they'll argue with you about it. And you will tell them, that's not me. But no, you don't know what you're talking about. I know what you think. I've had somebody tell you that. They believe their concept of you is truer than you. And you're standing up there right in front of them saying, I know you like apple pie. No, I don't really care for apple. No, you know you like apple pie. But I'm the one you're talking to about eating apple pie. So what I try to do is ask people things rather than just assume that I know where they're coming from. That's even if from one day to the next. So it says that not one of the concepts that we have of ourselves is true, and that many of your concepts come from feverish imagination. What's that? Sometimes I have concepts of myself that comes from an imagination that I have that's hot with hatred. Sometimes I'm hot with hatred. And so that gives me a concept of myself. And the concept might be, I'm really angry right now. I'm a really angry person. I have anger problems. I need anger management. This is coming from my hot, feverish imagination. The Course says that hatred comes from distortions that you have about everything that's coming from your fear. So when we see war, we're looking at distortions born of fear. Hatred born of fear. Fear creates the hatred. So I have a concept of myself. One of my concepts of myself is that I am fearful. That's another concept of myself is I am courageous. Another concept of myself is I'm fun. Another concept of myself is I'm not so much fun. Are y'all following me? Following what I'm saying? That if you feel hatred for anybody, that's just a concept you made up. So stop taking it so seriously. It doesn't matter that you feel hate. It's important that you know it's just a distorted self-concept coming from fear that you have. You know, if you hate somebody, you're just saying, man, I feel extremely separate from you, and I feel extremely fearful of you, and I feel extremely different from you. That's why the Ku Klux Klan doesn't invite me for membership. They think they're extremely different from me. He says, what is a concept but a thought to which its maker gives a meaning of its own? So a concept of myself is just a thought that I'm giving about myself that I'm giving a meaning to. Then he says concepts maintain the world. The whole world is based on concepts, right? And then people argue about which concept is true. Then he says, but concepts can be used to demonstrate the world is real. Your concept of me can't be used to demonstrate anything real about me. And the Course says, because all of the concepts we have are made within the world, born in the shadow of the world, growing in the ways of the world, and finally our concepts of ourselves mature into us thinking just like the world. So when you get to the point that you think just like the world, you have a very mature self-concept. When you go along with the insanity and you believe it's true, you are now a member of society. When you can make all the incorrect interpretations without anybody's help because you've learned it so good, because we're all good little boys and girls, so we're completely crazy now, and we agree with all the insanity of the others, then you are now accepted by the world. And if you dare say anything different from that, then the world says you're insane. I love how the world is the opposite of everything that's true. You want to know what the truth is? Just say, what does the world believe? And then go, it's the opposite. What does the world believe love is? Well, love must be the opposite. What does the world say freedom and success is? Well, success and freedom must be totally opposite. Then it goes, the Course says this, and then it says, for all of these concepts are made within the world. He said, but these are ideas of idols, painted with the brushes of the world, which cannot make a single picture of the world representing the truth. So my concept of myself is my idol. I worship my concept of myself. I worship my idea of myself. I fight for the idea of myself. I get mad at people if they challenge my idea of myself. I pray to my image of myself. Image to myself, will you get successful enough to give me a big income? Image of myself, will you get me the perfect lover? Image of myself, will you give me a nice bank account? Image of myself, can you go out and create the kind of car I want to drive? Image of myself, can you get the house I want? My image of myself is supposed to take care of me. It's my idol. It's my God. What I think I am. So, a concept of yourself is totally meaningless because nobody else can see what your concept of yourself is for, and therefore nobody else can really picture your concept of yourself. Let me give you an example. If I was a scientist right now and I was sitting up here, and if I didn't tell you I was a scientist, would you have any idea I was a scientist? No, because it's a concept. Concepts, you have to always describe concepts. What's real, nobody needs to explain it to you. People don't have to explain to you something that's not real. So that's why the Course in Miracles says, don't seek for love. It says, seek for what's, I love it. He says, don't seek for what's true. It says, seek for what's false. Because it's what's false that's jamming you up. It's not the truth that ever hurts you. It's your deceptions that hurt you. So he says, learn how to recognize what's false. Recognize when someone is saying they love you and they don't. Recognize when you get ready to choose something for yourself that won't bring you the joy that you. In other words, he said, if you knew what was false, then you would automatically know what was true. So, for instance, if I know that love has no fear in it, and then all I feel with you is fear, then I know what I'm feeling for you is not love. It's just that simple. But if I say there is fear in love, then I'm messed up, because now I can't tell the difference between the two. So if I said fear is in love, and then I'm going through fear, I'm going to be tempted to say, well, you know, it's natural to be afraid of somebody you love. But what's the difference between the two if they're mixed with each other? They have to be the same thing. So you got to separate what's true from what's not by saying stuff like, real love has no fear in it. Real love has no attack in it. Real love has no judgment in it. Real love has no condemnation in it. Real love is not, it's not real love when someone is trying to make you feel guilty. See, once you get clear about that and somebody's trying to make you feel guilty, one day on the spiritual path you go, wait a minute. This isn't love, so I don't have to pay attention to any of this. And I don't have to be a part of it at all. You don't love me. But if you attack me and come right behind me and tell me you love me, I'll be tempted to keep staying with you in your attack. I wouldn't hurt you unless I loved you. This hurts me more than it hurts you. Anybody heard of that?
I heard that a lot.
Okay, so the Course says that, I love it. He says, a concept of yourself is meaningless because no one here can see what it's for and therefore can't picture what it is, yet it's all learning that the world directs begun and ended with the single aim of teaching you this concept of yourself. So why is the world trying to teach you a concept of yourself that you are a victim? He says because if you learn to look at yourself the way the world teaches you, then you would choose to follow the world's laws and rules. Not only that, you won't even seek to go beyond the world's goals, and you don't even realize how you're seeing yourself. So most of our brothers and sisters who are asleep because they believe that they are the separate, limited beings that the world teaches you, he says those people do everything the world say you should do. They don't ever try to go beyond the way the world say you should be, and they don't even know how they're seeing themselves. They're completely unaware of how they see themselves. And then it says, now must the Holy Spirit find a way to help you see this concept of yourself must be undone. Now what is the Holy Spirit? The Holy Spirit is nothing but the part of you that knows the truth, that's still connected to Source, and that loves you. So let me get this straight. There's a part of you that loves the stew out of you. There's a part of you that loves you. There's a part of you that loves you. There's a part of you that loves you. There is a part of your mind that knows that you are completely lovable and loves you. There's a part of you that friggin' loves you. There's a part of you that adores you and appreciates you and frees you, that's nuts over you. There's a part of you that just can't get enough of you. Notice I said stuff over and over again. You know why, right?
Yeah.
Because we can be so deep in our own punishing ourselves to not hear anything loving about ourselves that the first thing that happens when I start saying that you are loved is your mind will tune out. It'll just go, "Whoop." I don't even know what he said. Most people don't come back to my class because they don't even remember they came to it. If anybody that's ever read the Course in Miracles knows what I'm talking about. You will read a paragraph, you'll read a page, you'll read a chapter, and you'll close the book, and for the life of you, you can't remember nothing you just got to read, and it'll freak you out. Because every other book you'll be able to say you remember one sentence you read. But with the Course, you can just read your little butt off and just be, oh, wow, wow, wow. Close the book and then go, like you never read it, right? Because you were reading it with another mind in you. You weren't reading it through the mind that goes out today, that's worried about all the stuff we're worried about. That's not the mind that reads the Course. So when you close the book, you go back to the regular mind you use every day, and so it's like you never heard it. So I would venture to say there are people that come to my class because the whole class I'm focusing on this material that is just like reading and shutting a book, and when they leave they don't remember they ever came, and if they do remember they came, they don't remember anything they heard me say, or very little. And if I didn't understand that, I'd think I was maybe not that good of a teacher. Because most people that come to my classes don't come back. Which the Course says is the characteristic of a good teacher. Based on that truth, I'm a guru. Don't take it personally when people who are afraid stop hanging around you when you start loving yourself. Don't take it personally when people who don't love themselves are not attracted to you anymore. And for a while you think you're studying all this stuff and you're attracting fewer people than ever. You go, I had more friends before I ever got on the spiritual path. It looked like I knew a lot more people before I got on the spiritual path. And then you go, well, Purdy, if you really look at it, you was also experiencing a lot more drama too. Have you noticed? So you have to be patient while you're in that transition from attracting people who don't appreciate you and appreciate themselves, that are drama machines, when you move into the people who more appreciate themselves because you are, and who really want peace and fulfillment more than anything. And you'll be in an in-between stage where you're disoriented and confused while you're making the transition. So don't think enlightenment means you're not going to be confused. Confusion is a very high state. Confusion means you let go of your hold on one way of thinking, but you haven't completely embraced the new one yet. So higher consciousness confusion is different from I'm a maniac confusion. Okay. I'm a fearful person confusion. It's not the same as I'm waking up to who I really am and I'm confused. Okay? Don't mistake the two. All right? So then it says, thank you, brother. So then it says, so now the part of you that loves you has to find a way to help the class see that their concept of themselves must be undone if they're ever going to have any peace of mind. So if I'm ever going to have any peace of mind, you got to stop the way you think about yourself. If you're ever going to have any peace of mind, you got to let go of the way you're thinking about yourself. If you're ever going to have any peace of mind, you have to let go of your concept of yourself. If you're ever going to have a peace of mind, you have to let go of who you think you are right now. And then it goes on to say, nor can this old concept of yourself be unlearned except by lessons aimed to teach you that you're something else. So, how do you undo old concepts of yourself that limit you? You need new concepts of yourself. You need new concepts of yourself that teach you that you are something else other than what you think you are. You need some new ideas about yourself. You need some new ideas about yourself. You need some new ideas about yourself. And the people that you're in personal relationships with are the main ones who are reinforcing your ideas about yourself. Your closest friends are the ones who are reinforcing your ideas about yourself. The people you hang out with are the people who are reinforcing your ideas about yourself. The people you fall in love with are the people who are reinforcing, not the people so much on TV, not so much the people in the movies. It's the people you know that are actually the ones who are reinforcing your ideas about yourself because you chose each other, because y'all got similar ideas about yourselves. Okay, so he's just told us, he says, you got some ideas of yourself, Purdy, that's not helpful, that's not true. You really need the loving part of you to teach you some new ideas about yourself. And there are going to be ideas that tell you you're something other than what you tell yourself you are. So if you're going to be in a relationship, Purdy, you need to be in a relationship with someone that is reinforcing the new ideas about yourself that you need to help you let go of the concepts of yourself that you learn from the world that make you feel afraid and make you lose sight of your power and your beauty. Now, if you don't like yourself, Earl Purdy, you're going to form a relationship with someone who criticizes you, judges you, projects on you, never appreciates you, never tell you a darn thing good about yourself. Because that's your concept of yourself, and you're using them to reinforce that concept of yourself. So when you love yourself, you'll draw people who love you, who reinforce the new concept. When you fear yourself, that don't love yourself, you'll draw the people who constantly reinforce the ideas about yourself that you need to let go of. Everybody clear about that? So who you are attracted to tells you what you want to believe about yourself. And people talk about chemistry. You always ask me, well, what about chemistry? Well, that's just, you're going to have that lesson. That's all chemistry is. You're going to have this lesson. What about chemistry? You know, a lot of times, you know, chemicals blow up. What about chemistry? You got to make sure you're mixing the right stuff. Y'all know what I'm talking about. And usually, if you be honest with yourself, the chemistry is always with somebody who is reinforcing your old concept about yourself. That's why you got chemistry with them. You ready for your lab to blow up. The person that I have been most obsessed with in the past in my life, I remember one person, we broke up in a relationship that was really, all the time I was in it, I was telling myself I shouldn't be in it. I was journaling, I shouldn't be in it. I opened my journal up and said, you shouldn't be in it. And when it ended, I was devastated. I couldn't let it go. Even though we were horrible for each other after a while. It wasn't always that way. It never is at first. But that just meant we had learned as much as we could from each other at the time. But we were still insisting on trying to be together. So when you learn as much as you can from a person at the time, but you insist on staying with them, then the relationship grows more painful and more distressful. That's why. It's because you learned as much as you can from them at this time, and you're insisting on keeping it going anyway. Right? It's like putting your hand on a hot skillet. There is a second that is not burning you. So it really, even if it's just a split second, you first putting it on takes you a second, right? So you need to let go of that skillet as soon as you have learned all you could learn from the skillet in that instant, which is okay. You don't analyze it. You don't take the skillet to a psychiatrist. You just let it go. So please recognize misery and go the other way. That's one of my favorite. Y'all keep saying, you hear me say this over and over again, you come to my classes and listen to the bill. One of my favorite lines is, you can have more than one favorite. That's another thing we don't get.
Yeah.
You know, it's like, I can't tell you how many times I've complimented somebody, especially in the female body, and they'll say to me, I bet you say that to everybody. I say, yeah, that's why you can believe it. Conscious woman would tell me, I don't want to talk to you unless you're talking to somebody else too. How do I know you love me? I'm not the only one. Because we count on love being, you are not the only one, but God loves me too. We're counting on our Creator loving all of us equally. We instinctively know that love is inclusive and that it includes everyone. We don't know how to do it. And so we had to make up our own version of love. Y'all hear me now? We made up our own version of love because we don't know how to love everybody equally. It's a concept. Our version of love is a concept we made up. How do we know it's a concept we made up, and how do we know it's not real, our version of love? Because it does not bring us only joy. Our version is up and down and up and down and up and down and up and down 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 and up and down and up and down and you know. As soon as you see somebody walk in, there's a brand new couple, they're in love, and you go, and everybody goes, Give it a little time. You're going through the honeymoon period. When you get to know who you are, the honeymoon. Now, some people go through the honeymoon period and actually realize they have something that's very real that they can expand on, evolve in, grow in, never be bored with each other, because they've learned the secret of never being bored in a relationship. And the secret to never being bored in a relationship is never telling your person you know the person that you're in the relationship with, not telling yourself you know them, not telling yourself you know them. As soon as you say you know them, then they're a done deal for you. And you expect them to conform to your concept of them. And if they try to do anything outside that concept, you're tripping. So, this is deep, isn't it? Let me throw it open here a second. Any comments, any questions about anything? Yes.
When you're talking about, let me see that I understood this.
Okay.
Because when we humans, not enlightened, love someone, personally I believe in an exclusive relationship. Are you saying that that's not?
I'm saying an exclusive relationship is a concept that you've made up to make yourself feel safe. And so you need whatever boundaries and agreements you need in a relationship that allows you to feel safe enough to open your heart. In a real relationship, in an enlightened relationship, there are no need for rules of any kind. Because the only thing you feel for each other is love. And if you feel nothing but love, you are totally harmless to each other in every way. Fearful people need rules, need exclusivity, need agreements, need boundaries, because they're afraid. And they're afraid somebody is going to get your love. It ain't enough to go around. You know, loving me is a full-time job. It ain't, you got time to get no love to nobody else. But it's not love that they would be given to anybody else that you're afraid to lose. It's specialness. Other people can only seem like they're taking your specialness, not your love. So don't get me wrong. And I'll say this again because it's one of the most misunderstood things that ever come out of my mouth. You need whatever agreements and whatever boundaries you feel like you need to feel safe enough to learn what love really is. And it's ludicrous to say I love everybody in this room, but I can't love one person. Does that make sense? Well, think about it. How can I love all of you who I don't know, and I can't really love fearlessly the people that I know? That's just words when I say I love all of you. Those are words when you say you love me. We are learning how to really mean it. How many of us are going to make sure that every one of us goes to bed with food tonight? How many of us are going to make sure everyone else has a roof over their head tonight? How many of us are as concerned about our safety and happiness as we are about everybody else in the rooms? If we were to be honest, we would all feel innocent by giving an honest answer, which would be none of us. Then we could love each other. Do you know that's where the love would show up? When we became the same and we became honest with each other. That doesn't mean we're bad. It doesn't mean we're guilty. It just means we don't know how. And nothing we've learned has really ever taught us how. So what we do is we single out individuals for our special attention. And then we make whatever rules we need to make up to try to make sure they'll stay in that relationship with us. Right? So the truth is telling us, I'm not going to fight the fact you want an exclusive relationship with somebody that's one-on-one. Don't make no difference. It's okay. What I'm going to do is, I want you to take everything I'm telling you about what love really is in this curriculum, and I want you to apply to that one person that you say you're so in love with. First, next to yourself. First you apply the truth to yourself. Then you give it to that one person. Since you said you wanted them to be exclusion in the whole world, then they should be the easiest person in the world to practice the love on. It's so doggone special to you. I should have just asked you to do the easiest thing in the world. I don't really know the rest of y'all, but I'm crazy about her. And this book just said, let me express all the love that this book is talking about with her. If I truly love her, then why is that oh Lord. Why is that the most depressing thing that some people hear you come out of your mouth? Say, okay, then you into specialness and you into exclusivity? Great! Now give them all the love that's unconditional, accepting, and non-judgment and compassion that you just heard me say. Help them have a new concept of themselves that's totally opposite to a concept of fear about themselves. Remind them every day how beautiful they are and how much you appreciate them and how powerful they are. Remind them that they deserve to have everything good thing that life has to have. Forgive them when they make a mistake because they're just like you. They're not going to always do it right just like you, so overlook it. You know, it's like all of us, I should be like, oh yes! I can't wait to do that. But if you are in an exclusive relationship with somebody you don't want to do that with, now just be with that for a minute. They kind of simple. They kind of go down through your mind. You are monogamous with misery. You have a monogamy with me. You have vowed to yourself that you're going to be miserable with this person to the exclusion of experiencing love with any other people. And that makes sense to you. That's what's so crazy about us. We'll defend that. Now, don't get me wrong. Listen to what I'm saying. I'm saying if you want a one-on-one, exclusive monogamous relationship, yay! Great! I'm not trying to take that away from you. Obviously, that's what you think you need in order to wake up, and that's what you should do. But what I'm saying is, do it with somebody you love.
Yeah.
Now, if you're going to argue with me about that, you crazy. But you cute. So you still get somebody. You argue with anyone that's saying you should have love, you got to be insane. But you're not guilty. And sometimes that's why I need to be talked to. I need somebody to grab me by the shoulder and say, man, that's crazy. What you doing right now? That's absolutely, totally, I love you, but it's crazy. And it's crazy to be exclusive to someone who's mistreating you. It's crazy to commit yourself to something that does not help you change the concept of yourself from one that's fear to one that's love. That's crazy. Unless that's the way I want to feel about myself. Unless I want to get my old concept of myself reinforced. And you can tell who you want to reinforce with, because who you want to reinforce with is the one you got the hots for. That's your reinforcer. The one you are turned on by. The one you think about. Not the one that you just think about when you see them. And you really like them. But you really don't think a lot about them until you're actually with them. I'm talking about the one you think about when you're driving down the street. And there's nothing else for you. You could be thinking about other things, but you find yourself thinking about them. The one that you feel in your body. That's your reinforcer. That's your self-concept. That's who most is reflecting back to you what you really believe about yourself. And that's why you need to stop and ask yourself, what is the purpose of this? What is it for? Why am I in this? What do I want out of this? And this could be any this. It's not just a loving romantic relationship. This. What I'm saying, you could apply to anything in your life. That's where the truth works. You could apply it to any. You could take this class. You could do. I'm gonna do a fill in the blank class. And everywhere he said illusion, concept, ego, I'm gonna say whatever it is I think is bothering me right now, and it would make just as much sense. So is everybody clear that I'm not anti-monogamy, if that's what you want, anti-exclusivity? But what I am saying is from the perspective of awakening, not from the perspective of the concepts of the world, you're afraid. That's why you need all the rules. That's why you think we got 1 million laws. If we loved each other, we wouldn't need them. The more fearful you are, the more rules you need. But there's nothing wrong with having the rules. If the rules are used to create a space where you're going to work on letting go of all the blocks to love within yourself. So then you got a partner in love. You have somebody with you that you are going to learn how to let go of the blocks together. You're going to let go of the blocks so you can really, really rock. But romantic love says, oh, they should show up already perfect for me and just be happy ever after. And I got my white horse right now in the layaway. It's like, if you know you don't know what love is because you have a concept of yourself that says you're not lovable in any way, then he says the loving part of you must help you see this concept of the self must be undone if any peace of mind is to be given you. And it can't be unlearned except by lessons aimed to teach you that you're something else. For otherwise, you would be asked to make exchange of what you are now. It'll sound like I'm asking you to let go of what you are now, and you would believe that that was totally losing yourself, because who I think I am right now is who I think I am right now. And you're telling me I got to let go of my self-concept, It seems like you're trying to tell me I need to just let go of myself completely. And the Course says, then you will become even more terrified. If I told you to let go of all your beliefs and didn't give you something better to believe in, you would just get more afraid. That's what he's telling us. That it wouldn't be helpful for Spirit to make us aware of the truth if it didn't also help us to reach the state that we say we want to be in. Or else, that really wasn't a favor to get me out. Let's say I'm really in denial about how miserable I am in my marriage. And I'm so in denial about it that I don't even admit to myself how miserable I am on my job. I'm in denial, right? And then I make you aware that you're totally in denial about how miserable you are on that job or how miserable you are in that relationship, then and just leave you there. With nothing, no way out, not another way to look at things. Now you're miserable, but at least you were in denial. You thought you was happy. You see what I'm saying? So that's what the Course is telling us. I'm going to make you aware of what you're doing, but I'm not going to just leave you there. I'm going to give you another way to look at it, right? And so he says, so Spirit's lessons, Holy Spirit's lessons, your higher power, your higher self. He says, its lesson plans are arranged in easy steps. So if I'm going to get you to let go of the way you're feeling about yourself that hurts you, but I want you to now acquire a way of looking at yourself that helps you, the first thing I'm going to do is the part of you, just pretend I'm the part of you that loves you. I am the part of you that loves you. I'm going to give you new ideas about who you are that will make you feel the joy that you deserve to feel because it's coming from what you think about yourself is creating how you feel. All right? So I'm going to help you through lesson plans arranged in easy steps. I'm going to give you what kind of steps? Easy steps. Now, how many of y'all want easy steps? Okay, all right, okay, that's right. Then it says, now, there's going to be some lack of ease at times. Some easy steps. There's going to be some lack of ease at times and some distress. You're going to have some distress every now and then. There's going to be the day you walk in the room and you go, I'm mad as hell, I'm depressed, I want to shoot myself. Okay, that just means you might be on the easy step. And then it says, I will not shatter everything that you've learned. I'm not going to shatter your monogamy concept. I'm not going to shatter your polyamory concept. Because they're both just concepts based on bodies. So it doesn't matter whether you're polyamory or whether you're monogamous. The reason I'm talking about these things is because we don't talk about these things. Right. I get so sick of going to spiritual classes that nobody talk about nothing that anybody's dealing with. Sex, money, relationships. How we gonna make it in the world? You know what I'm saying? You can count the number of times somebody stand up in the Course of Miracles class and say, is an orgasm innocent? That's just how deeply buried our guilt and shame is around our bodies that we can't even bring up the subject. Check that out. Check that out. So I like to talk about the stuff that people think and talk about every day that nobody's really talking about. Because I want to get that stuff cleared up in myself. Right? So that's what he's telling us right now. I'm not going to shatter what you believe. I'm not going to shatter what you've learned. But there's just going to be a retranslation. Now that's an important sentence. I'm going to just retranslate relationships for you. I'm going to give you a new interpretation, in other words. I'm going to give you a new interpretation of relationships that'll free you. I'm going to give you a new interpretation of monogamy that'll free you. I'm going to give you a new interpretation of polyamory that'll free you. I'm going to give you a new interpretation of sex or money or career or whatever you're doing right now for your living. I'm going to give you a new interpretation of everything you're doing in your life that will free you. So whatever you're doing right now, whatever you believe right now, whatever is your concept of yourself right now, I'm going to give you a new way of looking at it that will free you. Now that's cool because now I don't have to fight where I am. I can be helped from right where I am. If I've got to change something for you to help me, that's not the easiest way for me to be helped. If I'm stuck in a hole, don't tell me, you get out the hole and then I'll help you. I need your help in the hole. See, that's what I like about this book. It has so much common sense in it. Like my mama used to say, boy, don't you lose your common sense. Because we lost it. The Course of Miracles says the second coming of Christ is the return of our common sense. I love that definition. We're looking for somebody to come out the sky. No, if your butt just have some sense, that'll be the second coming. If y'all just think lovingly, You know, that would be if you just stop criticizing, judging, and condemning yourself, boy, that would be the second coming of love. Wow, that is so deep. So he says, let us consider then what proof there is that you are what somebody else made out of you. Because even though you don't perceive that that's what you think, that you're what everything and everybody else has made out of you, you simply learn by now that you are behaving as if you're something that somebody else made out of you. So he says, does the other person react for you? Does the other person know exactly what's going to happen to you? Does the other person see your future and can ordain before your future comes just what you should do in every circumstance? Well, that person must have made the world and made you to have such prescience of things to come. So is everybody else reacting for you? And he says, then that you are what another person made of you seems most unlikely. And if another person did make you the way that you are, who's giving the face of innocence to you? If I am what my daddy did to me, then who gave me the face that I'm the one that was done in by my dad? Right? That's what he's saying. He says, is this your contribution? Then who is the you who made this idea of yourself? And who is it that's deceived by how good you are and then attacks it? He says, let's forget this concept's foolishness. I want you to just think about this. Just think about this. Just think about this. Just think about this. There are two parts to what you think yourself to be. There are two parts to what you think yourself to be. If one part was generated by me, then who made the other part? You got two ideas of yourself. If your parents and everybody in the past made one concept of yourself that you believe in, well, who made the concept of yourself that's looking back at all of it? That's coming to the class to deal with it? Who made that you up? Wow. Then he says, and from whom must something be kept hidden? In other words, even if the world is screwed up and evil, there's no need for you to hide how cool you are. Even if everybody else is acting crazy and afraid, there's no need for you to, right? And then he says, who is there to see? And what but is attacked could need defense. So if I'm walking around all day long being defensive, then I'm seeing myself as being attacked. So that's why I'm being defensive, because I'm walking around all day thinking I'm being attacked. And if I think I'm being attacked, I'm going to see attack. Mm-hmm. So we can be free by recognizing one thing. The way you feel about yourself today is based on the concepts of yourself and the learning that you've gotten from the world and that you've given yourself. If you want to have a happy life that you feel fulfilled in, you need a new concept of yourself that's more in line with the truth of who you really are. We are going to be taught how to have that new concept in easy steps. But even though these are easy steps, you're going to feel some ill-ease a little bit, a little distress every now and then. Accept that, and then it will be easier to take the steps that will give you the new concept, that will give you the joy and the happiness that I feel like we deserve. I appreciate y'all for letting yourself hear this much today. Even if it's the last time I ever see you, I just want you to know I love you. There'll be something down and several billion to go. So let's do the financial expression of appreciation. Thank you so much. I teach the Course in Miracles in the Way of Mastery full time in the world, and I don't charge for the class so that people can come regardless of their financial situation. But that doesn't mean I don't want to receive. So thank you for sharing with me. I really appreciate that, because all that I have comes from God ultimately only from God. Thank goodness. Tuesday at 7 o'clock we do a class called The Way of Mastery. It's off the chain. I'm going to do a quick little recap right before we leave out. Let me share with you. If you want to do a one-on-one, I do one-on-one sessions called clarity sessions, and also use my knowledge of astrology and numerology as well as the Course in Miracles. The Course in Miracles teaches that the Holy Spirit, your higher power, uses whatever skills you've made, whatever you know how to do, to bring you to the awareness of the truth. That's why I can study the Course in Miracles and still do an astrological chart. Or you can study the Course in Miracles and still be a mechanic. Or you can study the Course in Miracles and be a pilot or a teacher. In other words, what you do in the world really doesn't matter. What matters is what you're doing it for and how you're using it. That's what matters. So you don't have to turn your whole life upside down in order for you to become enlightened. All you have to do is be willing to have everything you've already made be used to free you. And you know, and he said we can't do that by ourselves because we're too locked up in our old perception of ourselves. So we need help. And who is the help? The help is the part of you that's called God. That part of you that knows the truth. That part of you that loves you. That does really know what's going on. So who should you not listen to? You shouldn't be listening to the part of you that don't know what's going on. That's what I used to try to listen to. The one who was afraid, the one who was insecure, the one who was upset. That was the one I was trying to let guide me. That was the one I was listening to. And so the Course of Miracles taught me, he said, man, don't ever listen to nothing you're telling yourself when you're afraid and angry. You get to a state of peace of mind and then see what kind of choices and decisions are presenting themselves. But when you're most upset, that's the loudest time in the world to make a choice about something you're getting ready to do. And that's when I used to make my greatest decisions. Yeah. Now that's not the same as all of a sudden you go, I've reached my limit, I can't take it anymore, I'm ready for something different, I'm going to go out here and allow this to happen. So I'm not saying be passive, but just know, am I doing that out of fear or am I doing that out of inspiration and out of love? Now you will know that. You'll know whether you're getting ready to leave that job because you hate it. Or you know that you're feeling total peace and you're choosing to leave that job. Because what you do out of fear is done out of distortion. I'm sorry. There's no time you're ever afraid in seeing anything correctly according to the truth that we're studying. Because your perception is distorted if you're angry and afraid. Isn't that very simple and logical? But do you know that's when I've made my biggest decisions? It's when I've been upset, slam out, be gone. It's like, no. Calmly and peacefully make the choice of staying or going from the situation. So we are now at the point that we no longer have to be ruled by concepts of ourselves that we learn from the world. And it doesn't matter if nobody else believes us anymore than it mattered that everybody else thought the world was flat and somebody else knew that it wasn't. So just because the majority of people believe something doesn't make it true. Because the majority of people believe something doesn't make it true. Just because a lot of people believe something doesn't make it true. And would you have the guts and the courage to stay true to yourself even when it looks like everybody around you is doing something different if it doesn't feel right to your soul? That's your lesson. You know, because it's going to look like you're different from everybody around you at first. Because there is a stage on the spiritual path that you have to make your move without needing validation from others. There's a place you go to on the spiritual path that it's just you trusting your relationship to Source God. And everybody else might be saying, you're crazy, you're wrong. And if you're waiting for everybody to go, well, Raj, I really agree with what you're getting ready to do with your classes next, then you never make the move. So I have to let go of the concept of myself that tells me that it's not okay for me to follow my heart. That I have to do it the way I've been programmed. So we are going to give out. So the Course in Miracles, the purpose of it is to give you the new ideas of yourself. That when you accept these ideas, they free you, and they also correspond to the way you really are, which is really powerful and really loving. So you've already made an incredible decision for your happiness. And no matter how you're feeling today, just say, I'm feeling this way because of the concept I have of myself. I'm feeling this way because of what I'm telling myself this moment. I'm feeling this way because I'm making myself feel this way. So I get to the point that I say to a person, I'm making myself really angry at you right now. I'm making myself really mad. I think I need to go for a walk because I'm making myself extremely upset. See, I'm angry, but I'm not pretending I'm not. But I'm using that anger to empower myself by claiming it's my freaking anger. And I'm the one that's choosing to feel it. So I don't have to be walking around like a bliss ninny, you know, walking around saying, oh, I'm happy about everything. Everything is fine, no matter what. But your heart is breaking on the inside and you're telling yourself, you know, that's not spiritual. That's just a concept of yourself. You know, I think sometimes the most spiritual people around will look like the ones who aren't, because they're being so authentic in the moment about what they're feeling. If they're feeling angry, they're saying it. If they feel joy, they're saying it. They're not pretending that they have a personality that's a certain way 100% of the time, every day. They're letting you know what, I really feel kind of suicidal today. Or, you know what, I feel happier than I've ever felt in my life today. Or, I'm making myself a little worried about what's going on with my child. In other words, they're going to show up real with you in the moment. They're not going to say they feel fine if you're their friend. They may not tell everybody on the street what's going on. But, I always say the friendship is in the details. If you talk to me in totally general, abstract terms, I know you don't really trust me yet. If I trust you and you trust me and we're really tight, you're going to tell me the details. But if you don't, you're going to talk abstract. You're going to go, oh, it's just my ego. I just kind of don't feel good. But I'm not going to say anything. And that's okay. Don't until it's with someone you feel you should. So I'm not saying go out and tell everybody everything because you're all free. But I'm just saying keep in touch. Ask yourself, who are the people in my life that I have unlimited communication with without fear? That I'll show them my so-called ugly side as well as my loving side. And I feel loved by them in both cases. That's love. You can have a knockdown, drag-out fight, disagreement with someone, and then y'all go, you know what, that was just our ego. We just forgot the truth about each other. I love you, you know I love you. And then you go back to sanity. Yeah, nobody's asking you to be in a relationship when you don't really know what love is, where you think y'all gonna be happy every day, all day about everything each other does all the time. You have to already be enlightened to be that way. You gotta give yourself permission for you to err and the other person to err, to forgive. I get in a relationship and I get angry and upset. People are like I shot him. It's like Jesus smacked them or something. You know what I'm saying? Because you're a spiritual person, Earl, so you're supposed to always respond with nothing but peace and joy, no matter what anybody does. You're spiritual. And then the first time you show that, sometimes in a special relationship, what you get back, well, see, I knew it. You're not really who you say you are. You got angry. Now everybody else can get angry. And you just overlook it and say, oh, okay, that you just got mad. We all do. No, not a spiritual teacher. They got to be perfect all the time.
Damn straight.
With bull. That's bull. I'm guaranteed that that's not true for me because I'm teaching to learn. I'm not teaching you all because I've mastered everything in this book. I'm teaching you because I am wanting to master everything in this book. If I had mastered it, I wouldn't be here.
That's right.
Or maybe I would. Maybe I'd be here because I just love to teach and I just love to share. You see what I mean? That's what you want to do it out of. You want to do it out of love. And that's how I feel about you. I want to get all the blocks out of the way that keep you from feeling the love of God coming through me, but not from me. I want to get out of the way. That's it. I love y'all. Okay? All right? Okay, so there's an announcement that Sheila would like to make right quick. I'd really appreciate y'all going as deep as we did today. That was intense.
Thank you.
Thank you.